we have 19,000 pounds of fossil fuels per year per person. That means if you have a family of four, you got to get four times that much. That's unbelievable. You have to thank fossil fuels for your quality of life. Now, this is a touchy subject of where we are in today's environmental, political climate. Now, I am not saying that fossil fuels are the answer. I am totally not saying that. And it's very, very polarizing, but it's important for us to take an objective view and to be able to look at things in the proper light and see where we are today. Now, I live in the middle of a city, many, many millions of people live in it, and the life that we enjoy is because of fossil fuels. But should we continue to burn fossil fuels? Let's take a look at this chart. I think it's really, really interesting. Go to visualcapitalist.com. This is the US consumption for fuel materials per capita, but it is very, very similar for places in Europe or Australia and so far, and in places like Canada and Australia, where the population is very spread out. Now it's even higher. But let's just look at this, visualizing fuel and consumption of materials per capita. Notice this, each American needs 39,000 pounds of minerals and fossil fuels annually to maintain that living standard. Do you even understand what 40,000 pounds, how many truckloads of material that is? And that is per person, not per household, like, per person. Unbelievable. Okay, so look at this. The number of sand, 7,000 pounds of sand, 10,000 pounds of stone per person, 17,000 pounds just of that. So you got to be asking yourself is, but I don't use any gravel. I don't use any sand. I know, but you're walking into buildings that are made of cement and you have to add the sand to the cement to build those buildings. The roads that you drive on are made from that asphalt. That asphalt is a petroleum product all mixed in. And remember, all of these minerals, all of the stone, the gravel, the sand is all mined using these massive diesel trucks and moved by boats into different parts of the world using fossil fuels. Remember, I am not saying that fossil fuel is a good thing. I'm saying that whether we like it or not, it is here, it's in our lives, and everything that's out there, from the fertilizer that we use to make our food, is all coming from fossil fuels right now. Also, if we look into everything that you drive in or you drive on or live in, is all because of fossil fuels is the base product that is used to make it, or it's fossil fuels that is bringing it to your doorstep. Let's go back to this chart here. Look on the right-hand side, 6,000 pounds of petroleum, 3,000 pounds of coal, and 9,000 pounds of natural gas per person. Can we add that up? What is that? Almost 20,000 pounds of petroleum, natural gas, or coal. So once you break that down, 20,000 pounds. Here I am. I live in a city. And when you live downtown in a city, we have a lot of people who say, well, I don't have a car. Okay. Or they're going to say, I don't use any gas, or I only fill up once a month. But listen, you live in a tower made of all of these products, your roads, your pipes, everything is made that way. We cannot get away from that. So, where we are today, with all the politics that's going on, we seem only to have one extreme side and one extreme side. All we hear about are people that are fossil fuel bulls, and we have the other people who say we want to ban fuel forever. Okay. So I understand the two sides, but we don't ever hear anybody with an opinion in the middle. Somebody that it just makes sense, that's just trying to be reasonable out there, whether you like it or not. Everything about your quality of life is based on fossil fuels. That is it. So we can't be self-righteous and say, well, I don't use any gas in my car, for example, or whatever, because everything you eat is because of fossil fuels. Everything that you use came on a truck that was burning gas. Now, we have this whole surge of electrification. Remember, the United States spent $4 trillion, $4 trillion to try to greenify everything. And they were able to reduce their reliance from 83% down to 82%. They moved it 1% with $4 trillion. The point is that's not the answer. is electric cars are not the answer. Lithium and cobalt and the nickel and the copper that we have to use, we are not being better for the environment by doing that. What we're doing is making the production of those batteries and stuff in another place. We're relocating the carbon. You're not seeing it come out of your car, but it's all front loading it in the making of it. And then we're creating a carbon bomb to build that unit. Listen, I am not going against battery cars. I love animals like you wouldn't believe. I spent a month of my life in the forest with my dad going fishing and hunting my entire life growing up. He wanted us to be self-sufficient. We had to pick our own blueberries, like we went and got our own wild garlic, like to live off of the land. So I did this and I love the world. I do think we need a lot more technology. This is why when I think of that cold fusion or what just happened last year in November, how they got more energy out of that collider than they actually put in, I think this stuff is amazing. We need it. And though there is no perfect solution that is out there, that just doesn't exist, I hope one day there comes. I would hope that the $4 trillion that we're going to spend next is going to be on new technology that's going to fix it, because the electric car is just not it. And even if you did, where's all the power going to come from? Now they're going to have to make more coal-fired electric plants to make the electricity to run the car. So though they're burning coal over there to charge your car in the city. So this is what I'm just saying. Think larger. Think outside the box and where that goes. Now, if we head back to this chart, I think it's awesome. You see 7,000 pounds of gravel and sand, 10,000 pounds of stone. Now, there is other stuff. There's iron ore, aluminum, copper. I'm surprised copper is only this big, actually. I thought it would be much, much, much bigger. But huge amount of natural gas. Notice that natural gas is 65% of U.S. residential heating consumption. If we head down, it says 39,000 pounds. I was surprised by that. If you look at the list, here is the breakdown of how many pounds of raw goods it is. And here also is the danger. We have 19,000 pounds of fossil fuels per year per person. That means if you have a family of 4, you got to get 4 times that much. That's unbelievable. But here comes the problem. Over the past 3 decades, the United States has become reliant on foreign sources to meet domestic demands for minerals and fossil fuels. Why did they become reliant on other countries? Because it was cheaper. Russia was coming on the market. They had tons of materials that they wanted to sell, and we were willing to buy them. Whether we like it or not, Russia and the materials that they were creating in places like Ukraine were creating stuff. We could buy it really, really cheap, which fueled our expansion. So we got to call a spade, right? We benefited from all of these cheap commodities that were thrown on the market. Here comes the problem, though. If we continue with that article, it says here the country is 100% import reliant for 17 mineral commodities and at least 50% for 30 others. Look at this list of commodities. There isn't even 30 on that list. But here it's saying that in order to reduce the dependency on countries like China, they are now working to diversify their chains. Questions still remain on how soon these policies can take impact. I want you to think about that for a second. So if we got all of our commodities from places like Russia or China, and now we are at war with them, a trade war, and there's a massive problem between these countries, where are we going to get it? We need it, period. Where are we going to get it? We have to create new mines. Think about that, though. How long does it take to create a copper mine? It's around 10 years. So you have to find it in the ground, have studies, bore holes, have people go and look at it, get your financing, start digging the hole before it's consistently pumping that out. So then the question is, how fast can you get that mine going? Let's say that you had a miracle and everything went right. What, could you do it in 7? So then the question is what are you going to do for the next 7 years if you can't buy anywhere? And that's where everybody is scrambling right now to re-onshore fabricating mines and everything so that countries are more reliant. The world of globalization that we knew back in the day is gone. After the Second World War until 2019, that old time is gone and it's not coming back. The countries are not coming back. So we're going to have to onshore all of our manufacturing in different countries. And we're seeing the world bifurcate into 2, kind of like the West and all the rest. This is not the ideal situation, but it is the place that we're at today. So I want you guys to take this information and hopefully you're not too mad about what I said. But if you like it, please consider subscribing to it. And if you like what I said, I'd like to know why. If you don't like what I said, I'd also like to know why, because I'm always learning and I learn more from you and from books and what I'm learning. And I always love to learn. Anyway, guys, thanks so much. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you like that video, you might like this one and maybe something like that.